Hey guys, what's up? Back with another video. Today we have a TNA pay-per-view review for you guys today, so let's get this on the way, shall we? We got TNA, today we have TNA Genesis 2006 pay-per-view review for you guys. As you can see on the cover, we have the first ever meeting between Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. Let's do this, baby! So we kicked off the show. Let's just have a look at the match card. There's the match card on the back right there. We might as well leave it like that for a little bit. We go through them. So first match on the show was indeed the Voodoo Kin Mafia taking on Matt Bentley, Johnny Devine, and Kazarian. Matt Bentley was known as Maverick Matt at this point. So, the match itself, I don't really understand why this had to be on the pay-per-view, especially as the opener. You usually want to start the show with a hot start, to a show. The crowd was into it, but to me, I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand why it was the first match on the pay-per-view and why it was on pay-per-view to begin with. Because it went about 5 minutes. The Voodoo Kin Mafia got the win, which was Kit James and BG James, better known as the James Gang or the New Age Outlaws, if you're a WWE fan. Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. And speaking of WWE, the Voodoo Kin Mafia is a rib, is a kind of like a slap in the face to Vince McMahon, VKM, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. They declared war on D-Generation X and Vince McMahon in the WWE. I thought the whole thing was a bit stupid to me. The whole Road Dogg and with Billy Gunn and BG James and Kip James declaring war on Triple H and Shawn and Vince and all that stuff. It was a bit silly, and I don't understand why they built an entire feud around something that was never going to happen. Because you're never going to see Shawn Michaels and Triple H go to the Impact Zone, and because TNA weren't really head to head with Impact. Like as much as we all love TNA and Impact Wrestling. They were never head to head with WWE. They're never the big game in town. You know what I mean? It's stupid when companies do this. I don't like it when companies do that, when they tease a feud, but that's never going to happen. So anyway, less say about that the better. Anyway, after the match, so they got the win. The Voodoo Kin Mafia did. They got the win, and then they declared more war on WWE, saying that we've only just started. And then after the match, after they left the ring, Raven made his return to TNA, and he declared himself the leader of this Matt Bentley, teammate Johnny Devine, and Kazarian, calling him Serotonin, and he punished them for losing by hitting him with a kendo stick, especially Johnny Devine, because he was the one who took the pin. So yeah, this is a new gimmick. It didn't really last that long. I mean, I think it lasted longer than I actually remember it being, but I don't remember it being that good, so it was what it was. A very weird start to the pay-per-view. It didn't really leave me in. It didn't really start me in high spirits. But we'll continue going through it. We'll go through them. Anyway, next match we have the newly franchised Naturals, who are the Naturals, who are managed by the franchise Shane Douglas. They took on Sonjay Dutt and Jay Lethal. This was a showcase match for the Naturals. They were just coming off the victory over Team 3D in a tables match on Impact 3 days before this. And they were sending a message to Team 3D by winning this match. It was an alright match. I think Jay Lethal and Sonjay Dutt actually looked more impressive than the Naturals did. But in the end, the result was that, if the Naturals were being set up to feud with Team 3D and all that stuff, then I think it was right for the Naturals to win. I just wish that they wouldn't have botched their finish, which was one of them was going to come off the top with a drop kick, as the other one held the other one. The other one had their opponent in a powerbomb position. So it was supposed to be like a powerbomb drop kick combination. Problem was the person who was doing the powerbomb was a little bit too far out, so the person doing the drop kicked his own partner in the back. Which is never good, but that was the finish, and that's what they went with. And it was a bit botched towards the end, but the match was okay, and it was the right result. Anyway, Moving on, we have the X Division Championship on the line. We have Christopher Daniels taking on Chris Sabin in the Battle of the Chrissies. Where's Chris Harris when you need him? He's in the later match with America's Most Wanted. This match was good. I actually enjoyed this match. It was the first match on the card that made me go, oh yeah, and it made me sit up and take notice because this match was really good. Basically, Christopher Daniels wanted to teach Chris Sabin some respect because Chris Sabin was lacking, he was disrespecting the X Division, and Christopher Daniels wanted to teach him some respect. And basically that was the entire point of the match. And Christopher Daniels also wanted to retain the X Division Championship in the process, and that's exactly what he would do. He had a little bit of help when Chris Sabin went to use a chair. He threw a chair in the ring to use it as a weapon, like early on in the match. And AJ Styles, who was Christopher Daniels' his tag team partner at that point, he came out and he took the chair away from Chris Sabin. And pretty cool stuff. And we'll see a little bit more. There will be more to that story a little bit later in the AJ match. But for now, it was a good match. Christopher Daniels would get the win, and then after the match, Jerry Lynn would come out and tell Chris Sabin, stop being a disrespectful little punk, and shake Christopher Daniels' hand, like X Division style. So they did that, and as soon as Jerry Lynn's back was turned, that cocky little prick, Chris Sabin, you gotta love him, Chris Sabin would hit Daniels with his finishing move. So, and then run away from Jerry Lynn. So that's this. Feud must continue. I'm all for it. Big thumbs up. Let's move on to the next match. And this next match was Austin Starr, not Austin Aries. We had Austin Starr teaming up with Alex Shelley to take on Lance Hoyt and Ron the Truth Killings. This was okay. I felt like it was a very average match, something that you would see on Impact or Explosion at that time. And I was more intrigued and interested in what was happening with Austin Starr and Alex Shelley's chemistry. I like the chemistry between the two. They were trying to impress Kevin Nash, who was kind of like their mentor at that point. Kevin Nash was calling himself the pioneer of the X Division. Like he invented all these X Division moves. It was kind of hilarious on commentary, Kevin Nash was. But it was a fun match. The match itself was okay. It was weird seeing Lance Hoyt dance. I don't need to see guys that big dancing like that. It's kind of a WWE thing to me. But it was what it was. He's teaming up with R-Truth. I can imagine him, he's like, oh, I gotta join in and dance with R-Truth, I guess. Anyway, Ron the Truth Killings and Lance Hoyt would pick up the win after Alex Shelley and Austin Starr had a miscommunication involving Alex Shelley wanted Austin Starr to film him with the camera, with the paparazzi camera that Alex Shelley used to come out with. So anyway, that was an interesting turn of events. Anyway, next match we had AJ Styles taking on Christian Cage. Solid matchup right here. AJ Styles and Christian Cage brought it. And the finish was awesome. I liked the finish where Christian brought in a chair, and Christopher Daniels tried to repay the favour for AJ for what happened earlier in the night with the Chris Sabin chair. But unfortunately it backfired, and they had a Christian and Daniels had a tug of war with the chair, and Daniels wouldn't let go, and AJ ended up getting rolled up. And AJ was not very happy that he got rolled up and pinned. It led to a bit of an argument between Daniels and AJ. Rhino came out, who had just stopped feuding with Christian Cage at this point, and he told AJ and Daniels not to go down the same road that him and Christian went down. And AJ yelled at Rhino and teased a heel turn. So that's the program going forward. In later in 2006, going into 2007 with AJ and Rhino. Good stuff right here. Awesome stuff. I liked it. Big thumbs up. Next match, we have America's Most Wanted taking on LAX for the NWA World Tag Team titles. This was another solid matchup. There was a little bit of miscommunication at times with James Storm and Homicide. They couldn't get on the same page a couple of times, a bit sloppy at points. But the match itself was very very heavy on the Americans versus LAX and all that stuff. Especially with Conan. Sorry, 1 second. Especially with Conan threatening to burn the American flag. Very heavy stuff, very heavy stuff. And Alex would get the win in a pretty good, decent matchup. They would get the win by hitting James Storm with the blowtorch, because they were threatening to blow up. They were threatening to set fire to the American flag, to burn the American flag. So they hit Storm with a blowtorch, got the win. And then Jim Cornette, who was management at that point, came out and threatened to strip LAX of the tag titles, which got booed by the crowd, which was very surprising considering that LAX was supposed to be the heels. Yeah, interesting stuff. I know LAX didn't end up getting stripped of the tag titles, but it was an interesting storyline, and yeah, it was alright. Anyway, moving on to the next match, we have Sting versus Abyss in it for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. This was a hilarious mess, as I call it, a hilarious mess. It was funny, but it was a mess. The booking was a mess, but I found it hilarious. So yeah, this match had it all: weapons, crowd brawling, baseball bats, people hanging upside down and being hit with chairs, Sting going through tacks. None of that was a disqualification, by the way. And then the finish came where Sting got disqualified. After all that, Sting got disqualified because he threw Abyss off the stage through a barbed wire table. That was enough. That was crossing the line, and that was a DQ. A bit of a bullshit finish, and I felt really bad for Abyss because this is his only TNA. The title could change hands on a disqualification back in those days, and it was kind of a bullshit finish, really. But it was hilarious. It was just hilarious because it's like all that nonsense, all those weapons being involved, and that was the thing that caused the referee to throw his hands up and say, nope, disqualification. It was a bullshit. Anyway, moving on to the next match, we have the main event of the evening. So we have Samoa Joe taking on Kurt Angle in the dream match of the decade. And yeah, pretty solid, awesome matchup. This put me in a really good mood, especially after that last match. Yeah, this was a really fun match. Awesome stuff. Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, they brought it. It was 13 minutes, so they left plenty in the tank for a rematch. And I wouldn't mind, revisiting those rematches down the line. It was awesome. And Kurt Angle, of course, would end the undefeated streak of Samoa Joe of 17 months. I don't know if that bit of a nitpick. I don't know if I would have had the ex-WWE guy who's just come in and Samoa Joe's undefeated streak. I don't really know who you would have end Samoa Joe's winning streak, but that's just a minor nitpick. It was a very solid match, and it was an awesome to relive this match, man. Go out your way and rewatch this match if you haven't already, or you haven't seen it in a while. It's fantastic. I guarantee you enjoy it. 13 minutes is kind of a short match for these two, but man, was it pretty good. It was awesome. Big time feel to it and everything. Whew, awesome stuff. Anyway, there's my review of TNA Genesis 2006. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I was earlier on, especially with the Voodoo King Mafia stuff, calling out WWE. I was dreading the rest of this pay-per-view, but throughout the pay-per-view, it picked up very heavily, and I'm pretty happy I stuck it through and watched this pay-per-view. Anyway, that's gonna be it now, guys. I give it an 8 out of 10. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in a bit. And I'm out.